Consultant and mentor. Today's conversation is about the U20 team. They just announced that they're not going to field a team. We're not going to U20 World Championships this year in 2024. Um, I'm going to say a lot and I'm going to speak factually. However, it's just going off of my memory. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have some numbers not correct, but just this is my reaction. It's not me sitting down finding exact documentation of things. So I'm just going to be talking. So if there's anything that I'm saying within this that is, the year is wrong or the numbers might be a little bit off, that's fine. Just hear me out, hear the idea, hear the concept versus the exacts. So first thing is U20 not hosting its not hosting, but not fielding a team to go is exactly the issues that I have been witnessing over the past 10, 12 years. So it all started when I was competing as a pro and I was in San Diego. I was the San Diego Imperial region champion for triple jump. I was the Southern California region championship um, champion, and the marks that I had were from all over the place. And those marks carried me to qualify into the outdoor championships. And so the very next year, I took my athletes on my youth team down to San Diego to give them experience. Like it's a travel team. You want to travel, get experiences, go against, athletes from different regions and etc. So I had about 4 or 5 new kids join my team during that window. And they competed. And I was like, okay, we're going to use these marks to qualify for our association championship for the youth. Got to the youth association meet, and they said, hey, you had these kids that they're not registered for the association meet. And I was like, well, we competed in San Diego and they hit the marks to qualify into this meet. And they said those marks don't count. They don't count to this meet because they didn't do it in our association. So I said, but it's a part of USATF Youth Association. Like you're a part of the same thing. That region competes against our region. And their answer was, nope, you have to do it here. And essentially, like our association, they have meets and they only have one meet per weekend. And I'll get into that in a second. But basically, I have to compete at your meet, which means essentially pay our association each meet to get into the association championships, right? So it's like all the money funnels into our association. But if I go elsewhere, it doesn't count, even though it's a part of the same governing body with the youth association. Anyway, so those kids who would have made nationals didn't because they weren't in the association meet to even qualify to regionals and to nationals. So that was that first thing. It was very confusing because I was a part of USATF as an adult competing, representing USA, and then the youth are in that same family and can't use those marks. Didn't make any sense. Anyway, so then I saw that, right? The next thing I saw was Christian Taylor jumped, I forgot what year this was, maybe 2013 or 14. Um, but he had jumped at Prefontaine and jumped like 58 or 57 feet, something wild, right? And USA Championships made him compete at the championships to show fitness. And I was in Sacramento and I watched him jump. He wore flats and just literally ran down the runway in flats, jogging, and just I think it was either he jumped or he fouled. Either way, like he didn't put anything into it. Like I was excited to watch him jump. And I was like, it looks like he's protesting in some way or fashion. And I was like, why is it so important? Like, why did it have to be here? Right. Then I looked at his schedule. looked at a schedule, and he was competing obviously in the Diamond League. And USA said, you can represent USA in the World Championships. However, you have to show fitness by competing at the championships. But he also had a track meet the very next week in Amsterdam or Stockholm or something like that. And I was like, okay, USA Championships, if you win, you get $10,000 or 6,000 or something between six and $8,000. However, he was making $10,000 or more just to show up to this track meet in Stockholm. He was also getting $20,000 or $30,000 for that event. He also was trying to get points that added together to be able to win the championship, which he did. I think he won the Visa Champion Series Championship Award check, which was $100,000. So I'm thinking about it. I'm saying, okay, in order for him to represent USA, he needed to fly out from Europe, where he was training, to come back here to Sacramento to jump and then fly immediately back. I said it cost him $6,000 just to travel here and back, right? It didn't make any sense to me. And it seemed like USA Track and Field was just trying to sell tickets to get him here. But the reality is, why would you come here when you can make more money there doing the exact same thing? So that was another layer, right? Then we go into USA Championships last year. I was there for U20 with Ethan Fong and my brother, and I'm watching like them compete, and I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, this stadium holds, I don't know, 30,000 people or so at Hayward Field, and it's not even half full. I want to say there was like 28,000 people that were there for the whole weekend, the 4-day weekend, meaning there was only like 12 to 13,000 people there. That's not even like nowhere near half of the attendance, right? It was something ridiculous, which means nobody's coming. Well, why is nobody coming? No one's coming because Tracktown USA was huge in the past, and those people who would watch were the baby boomers. Baby boomers now are in their 80s. They're not watching track and field in person in the stadium anymore. They're watching it from home. They're still supporting, and there still are a huge base of our audience. However, they're not watching it from the venue. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, no, there's no hype here. It's boring, right? And now they're trying to say, well, you know, I'm completely rambling. Hopefully, you're still following me. Track and field is dwindling, this and that. It is because we're doing nothing to make it fun. We're doing nothing to make it enjoyable. And to be honest, we're not paying the athletes at all. A lot of these companies don't want to pay athletes. They want to pay a business, because if an athlete does something silly or gets injured, well, then you now lost that marketing, right? If you have, I won't use a name, but let's say athlete A, right? And this athlete, you pay them $90,000 to perform, and you're giving them this money to build brand awareness with the goals that they make the Olympic team. If they make the Olympic team, they're going to get so much more sponsorship out there, and then they hurt their ankle and they can't jump. Or one of the girls from USA last year that had heat exhaustion, right? And just that was it, right? Season's over. And it's just like, I don't understand why we make this so difficult, right? And it's just so difficult. So basically, where it comes down to is the U20. There's no funding from the top level to fund the bottom levels. This happens in college, right? Wherever there's a Pac-5 school or a football team that plays in FBC, or and brings in revenue, Those schools use some of that money to pay out the coaches, to pay out the staff, to pay out for uniforms. They have sponsorships with Nike and Under Armour, all those things. But the schools that don't have a football team, that don't bring in this extra revenue, are the ones that are cutting their programs. Like, oh my gosh, I can go on and on for this forever. Um, but what I want to say is, Dami went in 2017. Dominique Rutolo, she's a triple jumper of mine. She was jumping 41.7 at that time and was third behind Jasmine Moore and Jamie Robinson. And Jasmine Moore and Jamie both made the Pan American team, and they fielded that team. And they went out. Dami was an alternate, so she got background check and stage and all that stuff. And when they did this process, they said, okay, that's going to be your coach, as in whoever was hired, right? And the issue is, like, you're paying salaries for people on the USATF board and the membership and all these things when there's no connection there, right? And you're paying these regular salaries versus if you were to say, okay, what coach got you here to qualify for U20? We'll just pay that one coach a stipend. It's going to be a lot less than normal, right? Many of the coaches want to go, and we'll find our ways to make the means happen. But if you don't have athletes traveling to U20, right? You don't ever have a U23 team. Like, you're not getting athletes developed, which is why athletes are going 1 year in college or not even going to college and staying pro and skipping college, right? We have all these athletes performing so well in college, but then we don't see them pan out as they should. When we have 9 athletes running sub 10 in the 100, it's like, why don't we have this happening all the time? But the reality is, you have 1 million athletes who run track each year. Then you have 1% that pans out, and then those athletes do really well. But like, oh man, I know I'm rambling, but it's just unfortunate that U20 isn't happening for USA. And I know for a fact it's coming down to the money, and there's no money there. So I have created a solution. I said it in the last video. And, it's having these companies sponsor the event versus the athlete. So then whenever the athlete does well, you can pay the athlete more money. Or if it's your sponsored athlete, you can pay them more money to train, right? We're not using the system correctly. It's not working. It may have worked back in the day, but it doesn't work now. And the fact that you are canceling this meet for USA doesn't make any sense. And because I'm upset about this, I'm going to take action. I'm not going to say what it is on camera here, but I will take action. You will see what the action is. And I'm not going back from there. So this is not a threat at all. This is not me saying like, or else. It's just me saying, I see where the loopholes are, and I'm diving into these cracks, in the armor, and I'm building businesses within this space. And as I build the business, I can then fund it with more support for the athletes, because I lived it. I didn't have support. I was giving blood to make money to pay rent so I can compete professionally. So I don't want that happening to these next generation of athletes. They deserve so much more, and we can do so much more by changing the narrative, not even the narrative, I don't know why I said that, but changing what we're doing, changing our process to make sure that we get athletes to perform at their best ability. And it starts with paying the coaches. We're paying the college coaches the big bucks. The reality is we should be paying the youth coaches the big bucks. We need to get athletes developed, right? I'm watching Quincy in the 400 running like man times, and he's being coached amazingly, right? Then he's going to probably sign to a college in a couple years. And then what? That system is going to take on him over. And we're going to have to hope and trust that that system manages him well and keeps him running these times so it gets him faster. Or he should just go straight into pro, make his money, right? Can continue developing, not have to worry about rounds of conference and indoors and outdoors. Just focus on world championships and outdoors and making his money, and then getting his education online, where most kids are anyway. Okay, I'm going to end it there. If you have any comments or agree or disagree with what I'm saying, please comment below. Let's have the conversation. Make your own video in response. Like, let's make this conversation open. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? All right. Till next time.